Hello and welcome back to our continuing adventures on the Let's Defend platform. So today we have a new DFIR exercise, that being of memory analysis. Windows endpoint was recently compromised. Thanks to our cutting-edge EDR IDS solution, we immediately noticed it. The alert was escalated to Tier 2 incident responders for further investigation. As our forensics guy, you were given the memory dump of the compromised host. You should continue to investigate. So we're given like a 600 meg file that extracts out to about 2 gigs, dump.mem, and we are to use Volatility to go through and do an analysis. This is put out by 0x cyberjunkie.sh. And what, 5 questions? Yep. Find the compromised user password, what user account was compromised, analyze and find the malicious tool running on the system by the attacker, what was the suspicious process running on the system, and what was the date and time when memory from the compromised endpoint was captured. So, because it's volatility, I have dumped this in to make sure this is transitioned over. Yes. So very first thing is we're going to have to run the volatility.py. We're looking for image info. We are doing the -f to specify the file, and that being dump.mem. And we're going to basically let that sucker go through and do what it needs to do in order to determine, because I think we'll get the date and time that this capture was done from here. It will also specify which profile we end up needing to run. So was this, Windows 7, x86, Windows 7 x64, Windows 10, 8.1? Is it some variety of Linux? I mean, I'm going to assume Windows, considering the fact that it was kind of spelled out in the summary, a Windows endpoint. So going to assume it's going to be some variety of Windows that we're going to end up finding from this particular thing. But unfortunately, we are going to have to wait for this thing to finish. How's that coming through? Is it looking good? Yeah, that looks like it's looking good. Coming through fairly clear with everything kind of blown up a little bit, so. Okay, in the interest of reducing runtime, I'm going to go ahead and as this stuff runs through, I'm just going to go ahead and pause and then pick back up once the commands have finished processing. And I don't think, yeah, I mean, everything's just kind of running through as it is. Nothing, I'm not at 100% CPU or anything. It's just going to take a little bit of time to get this out, so. All right, first pause, we'll see how many we need. Okay, a few minutes in, and we are done. So suggested profile is win10x64_17134. So we'll give that a try before we start working on 2 other Windows 10s. Just because that's the first one. I could run the, what is it? The KDGB or whatever it is scan to go through and actually get the appropriate one, which I may go through and do depending. But so okay, we're looking for, what was it, time and date, right? First portion. What was the time and date when memory from the compromised endpoint was acquired? So, and they're doing the format of 2022 dash, so 0726. I'm assuming we're gonna go local. We'll go, so 18, because they want hour, minute, second, so 16. 32, and we're just going to go from the image date and time. Oh, it's got to have the brackets. And yes, I realize I'm not showing that. Give me 1 second. 1632. So again, I am grabbing this data, dropping it in here, and of course remembering to put the brackets in. There we go. Okay, what is the suspicious process that is running on the box? So we are going to run through and do PS tree so we can have everything broken out as it goes through. So we're going to go PS tree, add in, and then -F. So we've added the -- profile equals the first suggested profile, our command, and then we're specifying the file to go through and run this stuff from, that being dump.mem. So let's see, this looks like this was done on a VMware system, maybe? Possibly. Definitely Windows. FTK Imager. Excuse me. Wait. We have 2 LSASs on this box. There should only be one. So I think we have our... So let's see. I will include the link to this. This is the general reference that I end up using for volatility when I've got to go through and remind myself. Correct. Hooray. Okay. Now I need a second because I've already gone so far. I need to drop in analyze and find the malicious tool running on the system by the attacker. So by this particular portion, to get the binary. Which account was compromised? Domain, username. What is the compromised password? So what, we want to do a proc dump then? Although we need to figure out which. That may bring. There we go. Okay, let's do this. Grep lsas.exe. Yeah, it looks like the system startup time is 18:01:15, or at least somewhere around there. So if I'm going to take a guess, it's going to be the process, because it's what, WinHost? Uh, yeah, I'd have to open up Process Explorer to refresh my memory, but I'm pretty sure there should be one process on top of LSAS. So there should be a parent process and then LSAS, not, multiple variations down. So I'm thinking it's going to be PID 7592. So we're going to want to change. Seven five nine two. And then what's the dash dash E. Dash dash dump. Dir equals just dot, right? Yeah, and then dash F. So basically we are just telling it to go and dump process ID 7592, which would be our other copy of LSAS, and just dump it in the folder that we're operating from. Pro dump. Oops. PID. Dash dash dumpter. Okay, fine. Let's put a space dot. Really? Right? Dash dash dump dash dir. Okay, what if I just leave it blank? vaguely recall this working before, so I have no idea why this is now being such a posthumous pain in the posterior. Try saying that 5 times fast. Bugger all. Well, there's another rendition. Dash dash dump dash dir. No equals sign, just a space and then a. Okay. Did I try that one already? Yeah, I did. Let's see if I change the order. Okay, pausing. Okay, decided to switch it up a little bit, so ran CMD line as opposed to the proc dump. Going through and taking a look at everything. And so we got 640 LSAS in System 32 Windows. That is the appropriate location for LSAS to be spawning from. And I think if we go all the way down to the bottom, yeah, 7592 is effectively the location for that. Of course, the interesting thing, and then there's this other one down here for 4500 command. Timeout 40 and echo. And if we were to grab, that looks like base 64. So if we go, take that and dump it into, yeah, base 64, it converts to let's defend memory forensics is awesome. In a, what looks to be almost like a standard flag format for like a CTF. But I don't think any of that's going to help. I think those are just basically there as fun things. Maybe to be used in something else as a bigger challenge, but that's really not hide nor hair. Okay, so let's go back to our heavy volatility cheat sheet. So yeah, volatility 2, profile, proc dump, dash dash PID equals dash N dash dash. I having such difficult time with that? Oh, yeah. So win login. And then LSAS. This is all stuff for older one, right? Yeah, Windows XP. See, when they specify it, they're doing... Oh, maybe you get rid of the N. Maybe. All right, so they just did... Okay, well, that's a different. Please specify a location or a file name. Swing that back around. Oh, here we go. Executable 7592. All right, so we got that. Name.extension. I mean, it can't be lsas.exe because we've already got that. I doubt it's going to be executable.7592.exe, considering the fact we know it's lsas. Actually, is that going to render? Or is it just going to sit there and chug? Of course, as I think about it, I think this is the very first time that I've actually ever fired up Firefox web browser inside of Remnox, so I guess I shouldn't be overly surprised that it's taking a little bit. I think I've got this set up to route. Okay, it's just taking it a little bit. All right, so where are we at here? Let's defend memory analysis. Executable.7592.exe. Because I mean, we are looking for get the binary format name.extension. winps.exe. Well, that's the what Windows privilege escalation tool format. Okay. Game on. Ah, which user account was compromised? Well, let's see. There is what? Was it hash dump? Hashes passwords. Hash dump, cache dump, LSA dump. So let's do hash dump first and foremost. We'll probably get some sort of better understanding as to the users when we go through and do that. So we're basically just knocking out all the proc dump, the PID, and the dump directory and just replacing it with hash dump. Give that a second to go do the needful. And I just realized that the bottom ticker should be on top. There we go. Oops. Okay, gonna pause and then pick right back up once it finishes running. Never mind, that was a waste of a pause button. As soon as I hit it, it starts going through. So let's see, we have administrator, guest, default account, WDAG utility account, i.e. user, SSHD, and cyberjunkie. But they want a domain name. So let's do the environmental variables. It should be ENVARS. Let's see if we can figure out the domain. geez, it's just going to constantly spill this out. So so it looks like MS, let's see, MS Edgewin 10 dash, just going to take a wild guess that it's going to be Cyber Junkie. Is our compromised. Hey, all right. Correct. Just because of the fact that that's showing up in all the environmental variables. So then what we need is we are going to need to go back. Oh God, now I gotta find it again. We need to get the Cyber Junkie password, right? Yes, what is the compromised user's password? So we go back to this. We drag ourselves back to when we ran hash dump. Dang it. There we go. Is it crackstation.net? I think it is. We'll see. I'll drop those in. And we'll see if the hashes are inside of Crackstation. Apparently not. Oh, fun on the pond. Okay, what was the hint? Hashcat. So we're gonna have to probably go through and basically just run this sucker ragged. Okay. Okay, so let me recap what has occurred. I ran through thinking that maybe it was a profile issue with Volatility 2, as I kind of figured that this hash would have to be something that would be in Crackstation or something we could sit there and brute. Apparently not the case. Ran through and did the underneath Volatility 2, ran through the entirety of all the profiles that would be there, doing the kdbg scan command on the dump.mem file. Came back with a whole bunch of different options, so I went through manually with Volatility, entered in the different profiles that were recommended, did the hash dump, and only two, the 17xxx series of profiles for Windows 10X, or 10x64. They both basically popped out, well, they both actually, not basically, they popped out the same exact set of hashes, which Crackstation doesn't have. So on a whim, because I've seen this between the difference of, version 2 on Windows and version 2 on Linux, in terms of some of the stuff not working right, it's like, okay, let's try Volatility 3 before I go and download everything and run it on the Windows box. And so obviously the command structure is a little bit different. We don't have to specify a profile. But basically underneath remnox, it's vol3-f dump.mem or whatever the name of the file is. So that's all the same, with the exclusion of vol3 as opposed to vol.py. And then effectively the command to go through and dump hashes is just windows.hashdump. So just slightly different over what it was. And you see everything breaks down, but the hashes are different. So I'm like, okay, surely it can't be as simple as using Volatility 3 over Volatility 2. And I wouldn't think that's the case, but grabbing the hash on the right for CyberJunkie, running it through CrackStation, we actually get a result. Whereas trying to sit there and do hash dump underneath Volatility 2 and running through all those different profiles didn't give us anything like this. So now, I have not attempted to see if this is actually right yet. I figured I'd just kind of wait until we're effectively ready to go. And of course, that gives me the question of, am I going to have to log back in? Because it's been a while. I was not thinking about that. Okay, so here we go. Oh, and also there's a command inside of Volatility 3 to actually take a look at the sessions, which basically just does spell out the answer to question 4 for the active user, which is nice. So I guess I'm going to have to start trying to go through and do everything inside of Volatility 3. I mean, before it was trying to run Volatility 2 underneath Windows was generating problems. There was a way to fix it, run it underneath Volatility 2 underneath Linux, specifically remnox. So apparently now it's going to have to be just running Volatility 3. And there we go. All about the tools. But so hopefully it's understandable as to why I would go through and try the hash dump underneath Volatility 2 with all the different profiles just to see if the results ended up being any sort of different. And I suppose what I could do is if I can move a mouse and switch out Notepad. Ooh, man, that's terrible. Okay, so let me do a transition then. So from the KDBG scan, I grabbed the profiles and basically just ran the stuff through. I got the hash, obviously, from running the Volatility 2 to compare it against. So obviously, like I said, the 17XXX series of profiles gives us the same exact set, which obviously are different. Whereas the other profiles that came recommended weren't able to sit there and pull the hashes out. And then obviously the recorded stuff that I had run through for the command for running it through Volatility 3 on remnox in order to get the answer. So I guess I should probably go back through and see as to whether or not if I can generate the answers using Volatility 3 to make sure everything is effectively set, assuming that there's an actual image info, but I'd probably have to go back and restructure all the commands. So I guess let's see about trying to work our way back up. So we can swap that back through. And yeah, so that was too much. So let me clear. Ah, yeah, Windows.sessions. It takes a little bit of time. So it's going to go through and read a bunch of different stuff. Oh, actually, no. So what the heck did I run that? No, whatever. But as you see through here, as that runs through, MS Edge Win10/CyberJunkie. And of course, you get some of the NT authority, local service, but effectively the only user account that's actually engaged is the CyberJunkie one. So there's the answer to number 4. Run through. Let me see. They don't have image info, but there is what, Windows info? And so let's see. System time. Which when I submitted it, it's in the same exact format. So 2022-07-26, 181632. And much like what we did before, in order to find the suspicious process running on the system, so it's still PS tree, and so what we have our LSAS yet again, and if we go up, I keep forgetting that my mouse wheel is not tracking inside of the VM. Where's our actual legitimate LSAS? So there's 500. So win it, or win in it. So if I remember correctly, I thought it was 640. Well, we know, so what if we do the same exact thing as like what we did then? LSAS.exe. There we go. Then it breaks down to the appropriate section. Oh, so it looks like it might have been a little bit garbled. So you got the 2 versions of LSAS. And what we confirmed using Volatility 2, one was in C Windows System. That's the incorrect one. That it turns out to be WinPs. And the correct one, legitimate one, is in C Windows System 32. And that one, I believe, is the 640, whereas the 7592 is our odd one out, if I'm remembering correctly. In my defense, it has been, well, like 18 hours since I started. So then effectively, we need to then secure everything else, which I think we can do in Volatility 3. Um, let's see if PS list, specify the PID like before, 7592. And I think the command is just dump. Let's see if we get something better than executable. Oh, file output PID.7592. So if I ls my directory, yep, okay, so executable.7592.exe was basically the output from Volatility 2, whereas if we run the list, so if we do md5 sum, let's get a hash generated so we can compare. We have different hashes. So there's WinPs. So let's duplicate this one. And in this one, we'll run the hash through. Actually, we could just submit the DMP file. And I'm going to check my notes to make sure I'm actually doing this right. Windows.dump files? Crap. Okay, yeah, this is not going to work. Or is it with the exception that, yeah, it's even a bigger file size. But yet still, we run it through and we end up getting WinPs as an answer. Now notice the hashes are different. I still find that odd. Dump files. And the PID, we don't specify dump. Oh, wow. It dumps a bunch of extra stuff, too. Oh, I guess if I was paying attention to the notes, yeah. Dump the exe and DLLs of the process in the current directory. Oops. So the question is, does it actually generate the LSAS? Yes, it does right there. Okay. So I don't need all that. Wait, it didn't create an else. I thought I saw LSAS in that thing being dropped out. Oh. We still end up getting 2, so I wonder as to whether or not if it would have just been better to let it run. Oh well. So you can do it with pslist or windows.pslist. Specify the PID and then -- dump in order to pop it out. We still got the same answer, although the hashes are different. So I wonder as to whether or not if that's just another difference through Volatility 2 and Volatility 3. Even though we get the same exact answer, I was expecting the same exact hash. what if we just do the same exact thing and just dump the whole stupid thing? And we'll just let it do its thing, and I'm assuming it's just going to overwrite the files. I'm hoping. I mean, we get the IMGs, everything else like that, but do we get the actual exe? Yeah, so I guess I can understand as to why it would just have been better just to stick with the initial windows.ps list dash dash pid, 7592 dash dash dump. You get one thing as opposed to everything like this. Error dumping file. Yeah, the only thing I'm really concerned about is just the executable. And I don't see a quick list. Or a quick way, at least for the stuff that I see, in order to actually sit there and drop down the process or dump the process. Okay, so we got all this. The question is any of this worth a dang? Oh, it would be kind of helpful if I'd actually use the grep command. Yep, so we get two things, which gives us MD5, some asterisk, grep, anything involving LSAS. Yeah, so we get that. Oh, that's right, the executable. I'm definitely gonna have to go through and basically clean up this folder when it's done. Yep, so we get the same exact aspect. So I don't know how to explain the difference between what Volatility 3 outputs for the hash. Because that was just... But then we end up with the... Then again, I guess... I don't know. That's a very weird thing. Okay. So we popped out the DMP file. So what if we just load up the IMG file? What does that give us? Gives us WinPs again with another aspect of a entirely different hash. Oh, crap. That's interesting. That is very interesting. Somehow 3 versions of the same exact file, 2 different versions from Volatility 3, and 1 version from Vol 2. I guess if there's any volatility masters out there, I would love to know as to whether or not if you've got an explanation as to the aspect for this. I guess the other question would be, okay, what if we go the next step? What if we actually sat there and wanted to dump the file system for C Windows system lsas.exe, the actual executable? We would end up having to get the physical address then, huh? We would have to do Windows file scan and okay, I'm going to work on that stuff off of this particular portion. I guess if anyone's interested and you've made it this far, I can see about trying to go through and make a short video running through the stuff myself, just to see as to whether or not if I pull the actual physical file, which one of these so far 3 hashes is this thing going to match? But I'm not going to sit there and drag everybody else through this. I'm just going to take a swing with it. I might sit there and try to do like the MFT scan underneath Volatility 2 to see as to whether or not if I try to extract underneath both Vol 2 and Vol 3, what if there's any differences there. But this has been an interesting exercise. So big ups to Cyber Junkie. But we've got our answers. We've got everything completed. And obviously the badge was visible. Although I think I've closed the window by now. But that's fine. So with all that being said, hopefully you've got a better understanding of Volatility 2 and 3. And like I said before, I will include a link to the Hacktricks site that I use for the volatility stuff, which I think there's a bunch of other stuff in there as well, but they're the number one place that sparks in my head that I found to basically go back for doing volatility work. But okay, all that being said, this has been DFIR memory analysis exercise on the Let's Defend platform. And with all that being said, I will see everybody in the next video.